Hi, and welcome to Danny After Dark. If you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss a notification or a new episode. Tonight is the weekly True Crime and Chill. Mr. Beckham will be fashionably late, as always, which is fine. But in the meantime, there's a lot to talk about. If you are in New England with the Karen Reed trial, what a week. What a week is all I can say. And we will totally unpack it all for y'all to catch up. So before we do that, a few housekeeping things. As a reminder, if anybody is not following and subscribed to Danny After Dark YouTube channel, just do it. Just do it. Subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes, or again, the weekly True Crime and Chill. Also, if you're not following me on the Danny After Dark Instagram account or Facebook page, those links are down below. Make sure to check that out. Also, if you are interested in checking out the merch store where you can get your very own one of these, it's like my favorite thing. Check that out, as well as I am on Cameo as well. So check that out if you are interested. Other than that, next week will not be a True Crime and Chill on Friday night. I have dance that night, so I will do that a different night, TBD. But next Thursday is book club, and I am so excited. If you are not already reading Long Haul, definitely make sure to do that so that you are up to date for book club. Or if you haven't read it yet and you just want to tune in and see what's it all about so you can purchase it yourself, then do so as well. I have like 10 pages left and it's really good. It is really good. I didn't know what to expect because Mr. Beckham suggested it. So take that with a grain of salt, but no, it is really, really good. So I'm excited to kind of wrap up reading it, do my notes, and go from there. And again, that will be live next Thursday night. So tune in for that. Few shout outs I have is, first one is shout out to friend of the show, Travis Myers. If you missed him on a few weeks ago, he is retired NYPD detective. Again, it was a little bit of a battle of New York and Boston accents, but both me and him will be at the True Crime Podcast Festival in July, which is so exciting. So he was super, super kind and sent me a copy of one of the Tommy Kane novels, which was super, super sweet. I'm super excited to read it. And he wrote a really, really cool note in there as well. Not sure if you guys can see. For my friend Danny, welcome to Tommy's World. Hope you liked the visit, and signed it, which is super cool. So very excited to dive into that book once I wrap up the book for book club. Because I'm so close to finishing. I was bummed. I thought I would have it finished before tonight's show, and yeah, I have like 10 pages left, but that's okay. Also, shout out to Mortal Musings podcast, a friend of the show. Shout out to Megan specifically. I would say shout out to Neil, but he had the audacity this week to kind of rip on Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and I'm a little unhappy about it. So yeah, shout out to Megan. Love ya. But anyway, they will be at CrimeCon UK in just a couple of weeks, and I'm so excited for them. And I'm also so jealous because one, it's CrimeCon, and also it's in the UK, and I always wanted to go, and I can't. Right now, at least I can. But yeah, they will be at CrimeCon UK. And if you are in that area, definitely go check it out. Definitely do so. And use the code MORTAL for a discount on your tickets, and that will give them a little bit of a bump. So again, shout out to Megan and I guess Neil, because I think I have to be nice, Mortal Musings podcast. And this is one of their t-shirts that I've had for such a long time, and I have not worn it yet. And I just was feeling the vibes today. So I was like, yeah, we're wearing this. And as you can see, the door is open. So cats are here. What do we got? Another one under there. Yeah, they'll be around, and they are quite rambunctious this evening. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Other than that, yeah, let's see who's here. Capone, welcome. Good to see you. Corey Novak, hello. Let's see. Tony Stewart, hello as always. Oh, the robes. Oh my gosh, the robes. I look back and I'm like, how did I do that for so long in that? And I remember when I was like, oh, let me switch to like something different. And it was just like, what do I do? Oh my God. Yeah, I am a creature of habit. So like changing things is not, not always just like as easy. But if you're that type of person, But yeah, the robe. Hey, Auntie Mimi. Listening, can't chat. Cheers, Yanni, everyone. Hello, Wolf. No worries. Hope you're going to have a great evening, whatever you're doing. And yeah, happy holiday weekend to everybody. If you are here in the States, it is Memorial Day weekend. So yeah, happy long weekend. Love the t-shirt. Thank you, Auntie Mimi. Yeah, their design for their show is like amazing. And they were super, super kind and sent me like a package of a bunch of like their stickers, pens. I actually have their back of my phone is super dirty, but yeah, I have their pop socket on the back of my phone. And what else? They did send a mug as well. They were awesome people. Awesome. Yeah, and oh my God, their design is amazing. Hey, Richard, good to see you. Beckham is in the green screen, and I will leave him for a minute there. That's what happens when you're fashionably late. K-Dog, hello. I'm glad the founders put the 3-day weekends into the Constitution. Yeah, no kidding. Hey, Shelly, good to see you. Is that Selena? No, it is Luke. Yeah, on camera, they look like identical. I've noticed. But yep, that is Luke. James Watson in the chat. Y'all are talking dinner. That works for me. Chris James, hello. Okay, I think I got everybody. And last but not least, Beckham, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, I'm good. You are fashionably late. How you doing?
My clocks are off. Sorry.
No, that's all right. Long holiday weekend.
Yep.
Yep. And people were wondering where you were last week, Beckham. And I just want to be honest with everybody. So Beckham came to Massachusetts. He did not come to visit me. He's been really up in arms about, if you're watching the Karen Reed trial about Brian Higgins. Oh my God, I can't even speak. I'm messing up my own joke. Brian Higgins' lack of picking up women in his game. And Beckham wanted to come and personally offer to teach him how to pick up a woman. So how'd that work out, Beckham?
That's exactly what I was doing. I don't know. We'll see how he does tonight.
Down at the waterfall in Canton.
Hey, if he had something to do with the murder, all that karma is gonna come back. I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't know. I can't say if right now. This, so I
can.
We will see what happens. But that's a good one, yo.
Yeah. So Beckham already knows, but I am taking off a day next week and going down to Norfolk District Court to stand outside for the trial. So yeah, stay tuned. I will hopefully have some some footage for you guys, or just a couple of pictures at the very least, but I'm very excited. So yeah,
I do have oil, baby oil in the shower.
Different trial. Speaking of that, speaking of Tootsie Rolls, Paulcast.
Dude, are you gonna just be like all jokes tonight?
No. But
Go for it, man.
ladies and gentlemen, the man who has more than 3 bottles of baby oil that Diddy, Mr. Beckham. Paul, nice. Hi, all, just dropping in to say hi. Then I'm going out for a beer with Fiddle. Fiddle, you know what? Tell Fiddle to come on live tonight. Paul, you don't have to. I don't care. I sent you the link. Not that you ever click it. Have Fiddle come on with us tonight. We can bash you. It will be totally awesome. Hey, Karen Diamond. Hi, Danny and Mr. Beckham. Lovely to see you both. Much love. Beckham, you want to give her a good Australian greeting?
Well, hello, Karen.
And I have one less subscriber now. On that note, hey, Tony L. Good to see you.
That's true. It's Shelly's oil.
We're not even going into that. We are not even going into that. You know what, Beck? If that is the key to, yeah. So, okay, I just have to say, I feel like it's my due diligence. Men and women, listen up. And Beckham, you already know where I'm going with this.
No, I don't. I have no idea where you're going with this. I don't know. Oh my God.
Because Beckham doesn't read the Google Doc.
Oh, I didn't know you were going to. Okay.
Actually, it's not even in there.
I looked at it before you did. Number one. Number two, I thought you were going to lay out on a joke since you said it's jokes night. Danny jokes night. Danny's a comedy hour.
Yeah, no, you know what it is? It's a long holiday weekend. I'm good mood all around. That can change very easily though. But Paul puts Astroglide in his beard. Oh, for Christ's sakes. God, that's just disturbing. No, all right. Yes, the Brian Karen Reed. We're going to talk about that first because what a week. But
are we jumping in already? It's like,
huh?
Are we just going to do it? Are we jumping in already?
We are, but before we get into like what happened this week, I just feel like me and you have to do people like a solid, because otherwise it would be a disservice with this platform. Yes, and we did this first trial. It's in the retrial. Yes, it happened last week, so y'all don't come for me. The Brian Higgins and Karen Reed text,
that's like 2
flirting
weeks ago.
Texting,
Yeah,
atrocious. I just want to say, like, ladies, if you're texting with a guy okay, it's 2025. It really applies to anybody. Let's be honest. Doesn't matter the gender. But the guy calls you dude. He's not into you. He's not. It might have started flirty, but the second he calls you dude
or player.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
You start the morning off texting the other person. Good morning. What do you say? What's up, player?
What's up, player? Oh my God, that's like Beckham's favorite thing. I mean, there's a lot of cringiness in that text exchange, but it's just one of those.
The best social media line, and it's simple. It is simple. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's like 3 words or 4 or 5, but somebody posted 2 50-year-olds texting each other today's, or I don't know, 2025 or something. It was like, yeah, that's probably true. It was because it's so bad.
It was bad. And then the equivalent, this wasn't said in the text exchange, but I just want to.
Now, hold on. Now, real quick. Now, would you rather it be this bad or like really like juicy, like out, like, you know what I mean? Like graphic. I mean, you either or, like you have your choice.
You know what? Okay. So Jodi Arias and Travis Alexander, that was graphic back in the Jodi Arias trial. Give me that. It's fine. We're all adults here. I don't care if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Like, if you're going to go for it, go for it. But it was more painful because of how cringy it was. You know what I mean? And then on the flip side, if a girl says, you're just like a brother to me, you don't have a chance either.
You're in the friend zone.
You're more than the friend zone.
You're in the family zone. There's a family zone.
Yeah, it's Yeah. So on the one hand, it's a compliment to your friendship, but on the other hand, if you were hoping for more, not going to happen. And just Karen Reed did not call Brian Higgins like bro or brother, but I just wanted to give the equivalent
The
of
window.
like,
Okay, so the window
dude.
was in this situation. The window was really, really. Um, the opportunity was there, but it was really it wasn't the window wasn't left very wide open. I mean, he only had a chance to. I didn't think so. And when he didn't really he really didn't go after it. It just kind of went back and forth, and it completely changed.
What do
And then he
window
and
wasn't open. She literally was like,
I,
"Come over tonight.
I
Come over
get it,
tonight."
but like she didn't keep going. That's what got him. That's what I'm saying. He basically slammed the the window gets he like trying to get the window. I'm just picturing it. He just got slammed on his hands, and he pissed him like he ruined it for himself. And then not only did he ruin it for himself, he blamed her. Like he got upset and jealous about it. I was like, it's your fault. It's his own fault, right?
What are your intentions,
Like it was
dude?
his own fault. Like that I was like, I was just like, wait a minute. At first, when I was hearing, I was completely shocked because I thought he was the aggressor, just because he's a guy, and I thought he was the one pursuing her. And then I found out it was for me personally. I found out it was flipped around. I was like,
Mm.
whoa. I was like, wait a minute. You had the opportunity, and then you didn't. And then as the trial went on, and as the messages were read out loud, word for word, right,
Mhm.
right.
By
I
Bukaki.
was, yeah, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, dude, you didn't even go for it. And then they, we got to the video of them being in the bar, and he's upset and he's jealous and he's drinking and raging and giving them dirty looks and all this kind of. I was like, it's your own fault. Not only did you like not have, I guess, good game one, two, you're the one that put a stop to it yourself, and then three, now you're the one that's jealous and upset and want to rage about it. That's on that's on you.
Hmm.
So that's a timeline right there. That's what happened.
The case has been solved by Beckham. No, I'm just kidding.
That texting dating part of it, yeah,
Hmm.
that's what happened.
Yeah. Nope, that's pretty what a cringy thing. But yeah, I've just been thinking about those messages and I was just like, you know what?
We were
Let's just do
supposed to.
a
I'm sorry, that's because we were supposed to talk about it last week.
and you
That's what.
weren't here.
Yeah, that's what it
And
was.
you
Yeah,
were ramped up all week,
I
all
was.
last
Well,
week about those
I
messages.
just I was like, dude, I was like, you caused this yourself. You
Hmm.
did this to yourself.
Every single message, I think, again, not doxing a personal conversation, but I think every single message that Beckham sent me last week, he would work in there how awful the texts were between Brian Higgins and Karen Reed. He just couldn't. He couldn't let it go. Yeah.
It's like when Anakin goes to the dark side and Obi-Wan Kenobi tells him, "You did this to yourself." That's what I feel like.
We're
That's
really
what I feel
going
like
Star
Terry.
Wars tonight?
Like that's what I told. That's what I feel like Terry telling Higgins. I was like, dude. And then now I'm questioning. Did his friends know the truth? Because if I was his friend and I would have known, I'm like, hey, leave it alone. Like I was like, dude, let it go. You ruined it. It's done. So if they didn't know, if his friends didn't know about it, how it all transpired, right? Now they
Hmm.
think that she's the bad one. She's the one that's playing them both, right? They have
Hmm.
this sense that Karen is playing them. Well, kind of she kind of was, but you know what I mean. But now your
Hmm.
friend is upset. Now you've involved your friend, and I could see where they didn't know how it was all transpiring. So now they really hate her. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I see where
Because
you're going with
if
that.
I was his friend and I would have known how all this was going, I would have been like, I'm like, dude, you didn't. She told you to go to her house and you didn't go. I mean, what? You just stop now at this point. Like, you ruined it.
Yeah, I don't. What happens that night all around once they left the waterfall? We're never going to know. We're never going to, and CF McCarthy, we're never going to know.
What would Dr. Apple do?
But anyway, yeah, I knew you had a lot of pent up rage about the text messages and Brian Higgins' lack of game. So I figured we would kind of just address that.
They were far from role
playing.
Role playing there to me.
Nice, Corey. Nice. Beckham, before you got in here,
what is Corey?
Left in the long haul book.
What is he disagreeing with me about? Wait, where did that come in?
No, that was at the beginning of the conversation of me saying when a guy calls you bro or dude.
Oh,
dude.
Oh, I disagree.
Yeah, I'm a little bit behind. Yeah. What? Let's see. Why don't you live stream from that bar since you like filming in bars? Yeah, I got yelled at. That's for sure, and it ruined my clip. When we went to Vegas and met up with Capone, there was a bar we went to, and it was a dive bar, but really cool. And I went to try to secretly film in there, and my freaking flash was on my camera, and the bartender saw, got a megaphone, and yelled at me. Yeah. Anyway,
what did he say? That's kind of funny.
It was cool decor. You would have loved it, Beckham.
Hey, Sidious did not manipulate him. He wanted power. You did this to yourself. That's what I would have been like Obi-Wan to Anakin. James, Jesus. I'm glad. I figured James was going to get that. James, did you get that when I said it originally? Because that's kind of where I got it from. It's like, you did this to yourself. Now, did you pick it up the first time? Or did you get it when I had to explain it?
On that note, I don't like people being schooled by Beckham. It just seems like the world isn't. He wanted to save Padme. Yes, K-Dog, I know. That was sad. Yeah.
I was too young for Cheers. I didn't really watch it.
It's called reruns.
Yeah, but I never got into it. It wasn't a show for me.
The Brady Bunch was on.
How did you get into it? Well, yeah, but that's kids.
It's called reruns. Like the Brady Bunch was on.
The Brady Bunch had
the Monkeys was on reruns.
The Brady Bunch had kids in it, so you're a kid. You can kind of get into it a little bit. It's their life lessons. It's like G.I. Joe cartoons. And then, the Monkeys. The Monkeys were like, they're a bunch of like goofballs. So they're just
Don't you dare.
You're just
go after my Mickey.
As a kid, you just think they're funny, like they're being dumb.
Marsha, and that's a Monkeys crossover.
How is a 10-year-old gonna like relate to having to a 50-hour work week and going to a bar every night? That's what,
I don't know what to tell you. I watched a lot of adult shows as a kid when, like, my parents should not have let me. Like, I watched 90210, Melrose Place. I watched all that in elementary school.
Right. But then you had you had the Jeffersons. Mr. Jefferson was like a little man, so you could relate because he was little and he was kind of funny. And then
you're going after little people?
I was just saying he was short, and then he was funny, so you could relate if you were a kid. Anyway,
I would like to apologize on behalf of people who are short because Mr. Beckham. She got an old soul. Yes, Corey.
Danny can relate as an 11-year-old working 60-hour weeks and having to go to a bar every night. Okay.
Sometimes you got to know where everybody knows your name. I don't know what to say. All right. Look, all right. What is Karen? Hi, Danny. Don't let Mr. Beckham put down our Mickey Dolan. Karen's a Mickey fan.
Literally, the song goes, "Hey, we're the monkeys. We like to monkey around," and then they're like falling all over each other.
Actually, you got the lyrics wrong.
Or I don't. Okay, did I really?
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God, that's how it goes.
And people say we monkey around.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Karen, the nerve of Beckham. All right, before I boot him off for pissing me off and going after Mickey Dolenz, let's get into Karen Redraw. So, all right. So I just have to say, Monday I actually went home sick from work. I was not feeling well. It was horrible. But that was not nearly as painful as what happened during the Karen retrial on Cross on Monday. But let's get to it.
Danny, before you start with this,
Beckham, what?
With this Karen Reed, I don't. There's not like I don't. It's hard to. I don't even know anymore. There's nothing done with this case.
Well, okay. Let's rewind a bit. So the prosecution, I think, has maybe one or two witnesses left. And then it goes to the defense, and they will start to call their witnesses. On the witness list for the defense is Trooper Proctor. Will they call him or not? I don't know. I keep hearing mixed things. So we'll see. I think they should. I really think they should just completely go after. But they had Bukaki read the text message chain from Trooper Proctor, with what happened, with all of that stuff.
That's a good point.
So they might not feel the need to call him, but I would just go full steam ahead. But I'm not an attorney, and clearly Alessi, at Jackson, Little, and Yannetti, they know what they're doing.
Okay, before you get started, the one thing I will have to say is this case is messed up from top to bottom and in between. Mm-hmm. I've never seen a case like this in my life. And the jury, so it's going to come down to the jury, right? Yes. And a lot of them are not college educated. And a lot of them...
how do you know that?
Because that's what I've been hearing and reading. So a lot of them, and it just takes one, like you said, right? But I don't know. A lot of it's confusing. A lot that happened this week was very confusing. Whether who's right, who's wrong, who has more validity, who doesn't. Can you really trust somebody that doesn't have that lies on their resume, even though they're considered an expert? And they sound like an expert, like they really sound like an expert, like they know what they're talking about. And then, it's just so much happened this week in particular with no concept of time, right? Time was a big factor in this thing. Not knowing a concept of time, not knowing the validity of anything, of the information that was put forth from both sides of the Commonwealth and the defense. And it is just a whole mixture of confusion, if you ask me, from both sides. And I don't even know I would love to just get a sense of where the jury's at right now, because and then they had, I'm sure you'll get to it, but and then they had the jury they're questioned one by one, like on Thursday or something. But anyway, this case is just completely I don't even know what to say. I need like an educated one. I need to look up a word, a hard word.
You just need to tune in Jenny After Dark and listen to me update. That's what you got to do. But two things with that, Beckham. One, it is not up to the defense to say, here's what happened. They just have to poke holes in the prosecution. That's it. The burden is on the state. It is on the prosecution to find her guilty. So that's one. Two, to link that in, they have to show to the jury she is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And if you just now are saying what the prosecution has been putting forward is confusing,
both sides,
that's reasonable doubt.
Yeah, well, even the defense, I get
but it's not up to it's the defense's job to give doubt.
I get it, but a lot of their stuff too has been in question now with a lot of, I don't know. It's just
I disagree, but let's get into it. K-Dog, I heard that too. I heard a theory that the prosecution was throwing the case. They just want to end it. No, I was listening to the Young Jerks YouTube channel, and Mark Betterow was on there. And that was one of the questions that was asked this week was, do you think that the state, and no. Hank Brennan is going full steam ahead, not very well as we've seen, but no, he does not want to throw this. And Lally wouldn't be there if he didn't fully, I don't know. I get very torn between Lally because he just he just sits there and lets Brennan do everything. And every once in a while, Brennan's like, here, go, you can talk to this witness on the stand. And it's like something.
What about Judge Bev, man? Always wanted to leave at like 2:30, banking hours.
Kidding. So on Monday, so the way Monday started, and keep in mind there was no court Thursday or Friday this week. It was just Monday, Tuesday,
Why
Wednesday,
was
and actually,
that, Danny?
why?
Yeah.
Judge Bev.
I sent you a reason why.
We're ahead of plan.
That was on Monday, though, right? I think she said that on Monday.
She just says, yeah, because Beckham texted me. There was a dinner or something in her. Oh God, where is it?
She was going to be honored at like 7:30 somewhere.
Here it is. Bar Association of Norfolk County. Bar Association, the annual dinner, Wednesday, May 21st, 2025, 6 p.m. reception, 7 p.m. dinner. And if y'all are from here, if you're thinking 6 p.m. Norwood, there's traffic. So to be like, hey, let's wrap up court at like 4:30 and let me get ready to be there. But no, Judge Bev was ending it early. The person of the year, the Honorable Beverly J. Cannoni.
Oh, she wasn't going to miss that.
Oh, no, she was not. So they could have been behind schedule, and she'd be like, things are great.
She shut it down like at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
It wasn't even 4. It was like 2, maybe 2:30.
It was just, there are a lot of witnesses they aren't calling. Yeah, K-Dog, again, right now is just the prosecution's list. It has not gotten to the defense yet. In the prosecution, besides Bukkake, they're not calling anybody else that was like really involved in, working this case. It's like there's people here and there, but no. And then in regards to witnesses, Jen McCabe and, Kerry Roberts. Come on.
I still don't know.
Why not Brian Albert and Nicole Albert, the homeowners?
I don't know why they haven't called. I honestly don't know why they haven't been put on, but
and that says a lot. That says a lot that the state doesn't even want to put the homeowners on there. Why?
I'm confused. I'll let you start, but there's a couple of things that I'm confused with.
So, okay, Monday started with Nicholas Bradford. He's a DNA guy from Bodie Labs. Adam Lally was the one that interviewed him. It was pretty quick. Carl Mayasako, senior DNA analyst from Bodie Labs as well, interviewed by Adam Lally. Again, nothing really too bad or too much to talk about. The takeaways from having those two on was that the DNA from John O'Keefe, it cannot be excluded. So what that means is both Nicholas and Carl, they cannot say that the DNA they found, and this just goes for anything, they can't say that's John O'Keefe's DNA. They can't say that's Beckham's DNA, that's Danny's DNA. All they can say is it cannot be excluded. They give a percentage, and it's a huge percent of yes, we can rule out. It could have been
the kids'
of the population,
right? It could have been the kids' DNA because they were they rode with Karen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they were proving. Right. That's what the defense was basically saying was like, wait a minute, it's not his 100%, but it's kind of his. Well, that kind of his means that it's a family member's. So, and that's truth. That's the truth. That's what the defense ended it with it. They said that's the truth. And guess who Karen had access to in her car that's related to him? And guess who you have? You have
the niece and
nephew. And they were always in her car, as she would always take them places and pick them up and drop them off and whatever, right? So that's how that ended. And that's how the defense ended that. And that they did really well with that part of it, yes.
And then we get to Shannon Burgess. Shannon with one N. So Shannon, male.
Oh, God. Female. Oh, my God. Here we go.
And this was the rest of Monday into Tuesday. And it was glorious, glorious, glorious. So let's dive back a second. So Shannon with one N, he is a digital forensic examiner by Aperture. Hank Brennan was the one that wanted to interview him on direct. So he was the one that worked on Karen Reed's SUV. There's a lot behind it in regards to the timing of and it's very technical with the the timing of when her vehicle went into reverse, and this is out of my expertise, so please bear with me. My apologies. But also, he's trying to say, and this has been part of like the whole thing that Hank Brennan has been getting at, is the variant in regards to timing. And we're talking like 21 seconds. Like, it's something very, very small, but it would make a big deal because of it aligning with John O'Keefe's, Apple Watch and cell phone. And when his cell phone, part of what is being argued is like, he got out of Karen Reed's car and then, would have looked at his phone and like manually shut it off type of thing, right? So he was the one also, do you guys remember, what was it, end of last week, where Hank Brennan had said, oh, I just got this report and it changes the timing of the whole accident, again, by like 21 seconds, but nonetheless, those seconds are very important. And the defense was like, we're in the middle of a trial. And they wanted a voir dire, and Judge Bev said no. And the fact that Judge Bev even allowed
did she call a sidebar on that too?
No, they argued.
She just said it out loud, right? She just
the jury wasn't there for this.
Oh, okay.
They were out of the room, and Hank Brennan was trying to argue, well, I just got this report. And yeah, you know what, Judge Bev and Hank Brennan, you set this up because had there been a voir dire, keep in mind, Judge Bev made ARCA experts, Daniel Wolf, come and do a voir dire. Come on. But anyway, it is what it is. And the report that I'm referencing is the one that Shannon with one N, he's the one that did this report. We'll get to that. So basically on direct, again, it's a lot of Hank Brennan going through, and I want to say, not his educational background. That was not touched. It was his work background, his experience. He's been at Aperture for about 10 years. I talked about, the way he did his, studied this to get the report that he did, basically, or in a nutshell. Now we go to cross. Alessi. Robert Alessi. I am obsessed with Robert Alessi. If I get charged with anything, hire him. And Jackson and Yannetti. But okay. Alessi is, and I mean this in the best way possible because y'all know I love me a nerd. Nerd 101. Alessi is smart. He knows what he's talking about. Nothing gets by him. And he's a good person to cross-examine, talk to on direct, because he doesn't ask questions he doesn't know the answer to. Think about it. He doesn't ask a question of any of the witnesses on the stand that he doesn't know what they're going to say, or that if they spout bullshit, he knows the answer and he's going to show the whole jury what you said was false. And that's what happened here, right, Beckham, before we get into the nitty-gritty?
Oh yeah, he's the type of guy. I've of course I don't know any of the major, or besides your Jackson and Yannetti, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't know who this guy was, but apparently he's been. He doesn't look it. He's 65
he's 67.
67. I thought he was 65.
No.
Yeah, he doesn't look it. He stays in great shape. But man, this guy is really just like
Alan Jackson.
No. Just like Brennan has, we saw his spectrum of career. The same with this guy. This guy has taught. He teaches. He's done. He's 67, so he's been around. He's had a long career too. But he really hones in on specified details and will get. He might have, like, a lot of people are like, man, it's taking forever. Just get to the point. But no, not you want him to do that if he's defending you, because he's gonna really have that outcome that you want. It just takes him a little while to get there, but because he really, really just hones in on the littlest details about everything. Mm-hmm. And I know he seems to get on what's her name's nerves.
Judge Bev.
Yeah, you can tell by her tone, but he just kind of goes with it. I mean, she can really say something to
Really
him, and
ready.
he just rolls with it. Like it
Mhm.
doesn't bother him. Like he again, he's very experienced. He rolls with it, but he still tries to get to the point that he's trying to get, even if it
Mhm.
takes him, even if it takes him a little bit longer. But you want this guy on. If you ever commit a crime, or not a commit a crime, or just be in any situation that you need defending, you want this guy to be on your team.
Mhm. Yep. What's up, Willie Meddy? So just to go with that too, he's very smart in that if one of the answers that somebody on the stand is giving and it twists a little bit, he's so quick to pick that up and be like, okay, yes, let's look at that. Like
Right.
it does not throw him off at
He's
all.
very well prepared. He seems to be
Hmm.
prepared, sharp, and again, he's very organized and detailed oriented.
Hmm. So Alessi was on cross with Shannon with one N, and and okay, Alessi's he's very polite. Not to say that none of the other lawyers are polite, but Alessi he's really, even though, oh my God, even though I'm like, Shannon with one N is not going to have a job by the end of the week. Like not David Alessi, sorry, Robert Alessi he has a politeness about him. All right. So Alessi was cross-examining him, and he was kind of planting the seeds here and there. And we weren't, as a
He
viewer
does
at the time.
that's where he takes the longer time. You just
Mhm,
hit it right there. He'll plant the seeds and come back around and prove his point, and that's what just takes longer.
mhm.
It takes a little bit
But it's
longer.
effective.
It's effective.
Monday was
Right.
effective.
Right.
So he's planting these little seeds. And like, again, if you were watching it live, you're like, okay, where's this going?
Excuse me.
Holy shit. So basically, he was, if you're going to be an expert on the stand, one of the things that will be questioned is your education. That's just like 101, basics 101. So Alessi, obviously had the CV, curriculum vitae, that was submitted, which for those who don't know, that's the equivalent of a resume. So he had his CV, the one that was submitted to the court. So obviously was given to the prosecution because that's the prosecution's witness, and the prosecution has to hand that over to the defense because you have to hand over everything. So we had the CV from there. Obviously, the defense, Alessi, went to the Aperture's website, and I have been on Aperture's website every single day. And you have access. Are you
Everybody,
laughing at me?
yeah, because everybody was doing that. They wanted to see if it was going to be updated or taken. I mean,
Oh,
all
it
that
was
stuff.
updated immediately.
Oh, that was funny.
So you have like a bio page, and then which has the education background, and then there's links on the Aperture website where you can click and view their CV, and then a link where you can go directly to the individual employee's LinkedIn. So Alessi compiles all of this, and wouldn't you know, every single one of them is different in regards to education. So on the bio page on Aperture's website, it says that Shannon with one N has a BS in mathematics and business administration. If you go to the photograph that's on the website of Aperture, again, they have the two links. The LinkedIn was different. Everything was different. So Alessi says, were you notified in the last 72 hours that someone from the defense viewed your LinkedIn account? And he says, no, I was not aware. He gets some notifications, but not like if people view his account. And so like Alessi was like, oh, so you didn't get a notification that someone from the defense had looked up your LinkedIn account? And he's like, no.
But okay, but real quick,
Yeah.
see, you said it in a funny tone. Leslie is not saying it to be funny. He's like being completely
No.
serious. Like that's what's crazy is that he doesn't have a punchline in a sense of like it's going to be funny. He's just literally like working the case, like you know what I mean. But I
And
don't know.
this was
It's weird. Like he doesn't have a punch. He's not trying to be funny.
no.
But it comes off as funny, but he's not funny. But it's
No,
not
you're right. You're right. Yeah, that was not the tone. And you can go back. I would say go back to where he was crossed by Alessi, and then just listen. And
right.
like Beckham said, it was a little slow to start because Alessi's
No,
planting those
that's what
seeds,
he does. That's how he does.
and he does
That's
it
how
very
that's he.
well.
Yep.
So again, Shannon with one N was not aware. And then he says, well, have you spoken to Aperture about this? And he says, no, I have not. Aperture, his employee. So Aperture is another one of those kind of, I don't want to say kind of accident reconstructionist companies, but they do a variety of things. And again, this is one of the things that
insurance fraud, right? I mean, or something like that.
Yeah,
that's
one of the things that Shannon's kind of doing his report on. We'll get to the report. Hey, Royce, good to see you. Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. So Alessi provided a screenshot of Shannon's LinkedIn account, and it said 2016 to 2018 on LinkedIn. Says he went to school and graduated from University of Alabama, Birmingham with a bachelor's of science. And Shannon said, well, it's my understanding if people people go to LinkedIn to look at the posts, not your education. So Alessi's trying to say, so, in regards to these documents, so these were documents you put out there, and Shannon doesn't agree that the documents are incorrect. He doesn't agree that they're wrong. He's just kind of like, oh, it's outdated. And Alessi's like, well, how can something be outdated if you claim you got a degree that you don't have? So Shannon said the CV on the site that Aperture had, he's like, oh, well, it was done by Aperture. And Alessi's like, but who gave them the information? Like, that comes from you. And don't you review it? These are clients who are looking to book Aperture service can go through the staff and look at the education that the employees have. That's one of the things that, so Shannon was trying to deny that he prepared that CV that was on there, or that it was, that he put it together. But he agreed at one point he would have had to review it. So it's kind of like, I'm not saying I'm a liar, but you know what I mean? But on the difference is on the CV, it said he graduated in 2022 with a bachelor's in science from University of Alabama. So, all right, let's go back. LinkedIn said 2016 to 2018 went to school, graduated. CV says 2022 graduated. So Alessi does a little bit more research, and on a different, document that is up. So again, the degree, the type of degree that Shannon's saying he has, the school doesn't even offer it.
That was wild.
The school does not even offer that.
Social media, everybody following the case just went crazy with that note when that came out. Like that afternoon, that's what everybody was just like, what? Like, who does? Like, first of all, they were like, well, people plagiarize all the time, but this is not a good look, right? But like to put something down that doesn't even exist people thought that was funny and hilarious.
Yeah, it was just, so Alessi got him to say, like, the school doesn't offer this. And he had to admit, I know the school doesn't offer this. So
I mean, it's just funny, dude, when you think about it. How bad? I mean, and whatever college hours and credits does this guy have, how much more plagiarism has he ever committed in his life?
That's an excellent point, Beckham. That's an excellent point. So in regards to this degree, so Shannon says that he's been pursuing a bachelor. So all he has is an associate's that he got in 2015. But okay, and then let's go back there too. So in 2015, he obtained the associate's degree. He testified on the stand that he's been working on his bachelor's for 17 years. 17 years. Let's put that in perspective. That is a high school kid about to graduate and go to college. That's what that is. 17 years. So Shannon with one N was saying that these documents meaning the CV, the resume, LinkedIn, all of that, the Aperture profile, quote, these documents have errors or misinterpretations, end quote. And of course, when you get a word like misinterpretations and you have Alessi responds with, quote, 17 years. That's some time of having errors or misinterpretations, end quote. It's like, So Alessi goes,
Hey, dude, go ahead.
are you familiar with the phrase academic dishonesty? And Jenny said yes. It's just, oh man. And Alessi
And
responds
again,
like,
it's funny. It's funny when you say it or anybody
but it
says it,
was straight, like
but he was
straight
straight,
tone.
man. Like this guy has like like
And before people think that, because that's one of the things that a lot of people, like some of the 17 years in the South has already been through one divorce. K-Dog, that's amazing.
well, and
But
some people were saying, "Hey, I don't feel as my family keeps giving me shit for getting my like I had a, I mean, I read a couple of people say something like in the my family gave me shit for it taking me 6 years to graduate college or 7 years to do nursing school, this or whatever. But this asshole is like not even done after 17 years. That was funny. That was, those
it
comments
was
were funny.
just, and if you watch him on the stand, he was getting redder and redder, and you could tell he was sweating, and he didn't know this was coming. It is so obvious that Hank Brennan did not prep this witness, because yeah, Hank didn't even touch his education. Why is that, Hank? Why is that? Either you didn't do your research, or you did do your research and you
I don't
knew
think
and you
they,
figured, let's
no,
just
I
skate
don't
by it
think,
and maybe the defense won't pick it
no,
up.
I don't think he knew, dude. I think he just kind of thought he was legit. That was his stuff. And
He got
whoever
someone to give him
decided
a report of what he wanted.
And whoever's idea was to look into this guy's background, if it was Alessi or somebody on the team, like, hey, let's look at this, let's look at this guy's background. Is he really an expert? I mean, I don't know if that's a standard thing
It is.
okay, then I don't know. With Brennan, I mean, Brennan should have known if they were gonna look like really detailed, if they were gonna really break down his background, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then that's on him for I don't know.
I feel though that this has been we'll get back to this, but I feel like this has been a history right now of this trial. Jen McCabe, star witness, friend who was there.
Yeah.
She didn't look very good on the stand. Okay, now we get to Bukkake. Because Proctor's
Well,
gone.
none of the law enforcement people looked good at all. So I'm sorry, none of them did.
But you know what? There would have been a way to be prepped by by Brennan and give a little bit, throw Trooper Proctor under the bus a little bit to save your case. No, it wasn't happening. It just seems like the kind of star witnesses that the state and Hank Brennan's putting on are just bad. It's very, very bad, which is great for the defense. But yeah, and usually Hank Brennan objects to everything. He wasn't objecting much. I think
I was kind of surprised he wasn't, because I think I caught that part of it on that day. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, he was. I was surprised he wasn't objecting either, because Bev just seems to sustain him all the time.
I know.
Sustained.
But I wonder if Brennan.
And then whenever Alessi says something, or Alessi tries to do something, put something forward or something, she immediately goes to sidebar. Have you noticed that?
No.
When Alessi said really put something that's going to be that has a potential to really hone in on truths, she does whatever, right? And then he'll say something else, and then she'll be like sidebar, and then they have to all stop the whole thing. They have to stop everything, and I don't even know what they go talk about, but whatever. She really does that a lot to Alessi.
And Giannetti and Jack. She does it to the defense.
Yeah, or to the I mean, you could say that. Yeah, I just happen to always catch it with him. I don't know why. I always happen to catch it with him. And she always sustains the other guy. I mean, she always sustains for Brennan all the time.
Or overruled. Yeah.
Or overrules. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
All the time. It's noticeable, right? Or is it
100%.
I mean, okay, yeah, it's very noticeable. Like you can, and then I think somebody else brought it. I think K-Dog put it in the thing, in the chat earlier. It's almost like she's been caught signaling Brennan when to. I'm not going to accuse her of doing that, but it seems like she's signaling. She gives him a signal, like does this, or does a hand gesture, and he'll be like, oh, objection, whatever, and she sustains it.
Mm-hmm. K-Dog adds, I think the prosecution sees the writing on the wall. I don't think so. I don't
No,
think
they believe in
Brennan
their case.
realizes.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think, and that's we'll get to that here in a little bit, as far as what I think, but
yeah. So in regards to, I just want to kind of pre-emphasize this before we go on. In regards to an education, I don't like one of the big things of like people who are very anti Karen Reed. They're like, you guys are only attacking him because he doesn't have a college degree. No, I'll
that's
speak for myself.
plagiarism. No, that's plagiarism,
No.
dude. You don't know. You don't. Again, how many times has he done this in real life? I mean, I'm sorry, with school, with anything, with any of his work.
Mm-hmm. It just
He's
calls
literally
into question all of
testifying.
his trainings and
He's
certifications. Are
literally
those real?
right. His expertise is being considered on in a trial of a that has life-changing effects on a person's life.
Mm-hmm.
This is serious. This isn't just an insurance. This isn't just an insurance claim you're talking about here
Right.
for like $2,000 or something, right? No, this is a life or death situation.
Where you're trying to imply this woman,
Right.
Karen Reed, murdered a Boston cop.
Right. And
It's
it's
a big
like
deal.
it is a big deal. And if you don't think so, something's wrong with you.
And I am a firm believer, especially nowadays, I don't believe education is everything. To me, life experience, work experience, trainings are very, very valuable.
Sure,
And
life experience is a big
it's
deal.
huge because you could get someone with a PhD in something that's
right.
educationally book smart, but get someone who has experience. And you know what? Maybe they didn't get that degree, but they know what the hell they're doing.
Somebody, okay,
Worth
hold on.
more.
I heard somebody somewhere talk in some, conference or something one time say this. What a college degree means is that you were focused enough to get through it. Okay. You got up on time, you made class on time, you turned in your assignments on time. It was about organization. You learn how to organize yourself. It's discipline. That's all it is. That's all the 4 years of college is. It's after that where you really learn, right? That's what you learn by experience or any advanced degrees, right? If you go further than that, of course, you're going to really hone, but that's all the 4-year degree is that you were capable of being organized and just as simple as making your class on time, turning in assignments on time, doing things on time. That's all that is. And I completely agree. I completely agree with what that person was saying in that conference.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And had I think the state got ahead of that and kind of addressed the, like, you know what, I was in school for this amount of time, but, work opportunities presented itself and I wanted to take advantage of that and, work my way up and, okay. But it's like they didn't do that. And then he lied. Like, okay, so did you lie to get the job at Aperture? Has everybody fudged their resume here and there? I mean, I think 95% of the population can be like, you know what, I exaggerated that I know more about this program than I do that.
You can't do for the government. The government does major background checks on you,
and
dude.
when you're going to be on a trial, on
months.
stand,
right? Yeah, right.
And that was another thing too that happens later on, where on recross, where Alessi, says, all right, so you spoke on the stand for another trial, and here's the CV you submitted for that. And again, it was wrong.
Right.
So that calls into question of you can't even, you're trying to fraud the public with what you're doing. You got caught. So with that being said, had his work been flawless, by then he was already discredited by Alessi to the jury, but his work was screwed up too. There were so many holes in it. All right. Royce says, Danny, I definitely agree with you. Beckham fudged his resume. He said he was the second shooter. Oh my God, Watts. All right. So we get to now this horrible. Sorry, Beckham, was there anything I missed about the education before we get into like the actual testing and the job experience?
Well, yeah, I mean, with this guy, when we're okay. So, I mean, how, and yes, real quick, Brennan came back and said to the jury to save him, to save this guy. He's like on the redirect. He was like, "Hey, does Oprah have a college degree? Did the Apple guy have whatever his name is? The Apple guy have a college degree?"
Steve
And he
Jobs.
stopped Jobs and like a couple other people. He mentioned some famous people, right?
Yeah.
About not having college degrees and um and being successful. Again, a college degree doesn't mean you're smart. Again, it just means that you're able to accomplish certain things in a timely manner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is about that, the whole plagiarism is a major thing, man. You can get blacklisted for doing that from colleges, and
Mm-hmm.
and being and writing also, like on a higher level of education. If they catch you doing that, you are blacklisted forever,
Mm-hmm.
and you can never get it back. You can't ever get that. You can't get it back. So it's
Right.
a big deal, and I don't. And it's like Brennan. So for real, for me, I'm like, how did the jury take it? Did they take it like? And I was trying to make that point earlier. I'm sorry about about the jury. Like a lot of them are not college educated and things like that. So it's interesting. It would be interesting to see how they took it, because do they think they really met that the plagiarism thing mattered or not? He did sound like an expert. The guy, honestly, what's his name? Shannon with one
Shannon.
N. He kind of, he stone cold went through the whole thing. He wasn't ever really like, it's like he didn't care. Seriously, like his manner. I mean, he got red a little bit, maybe of a little bit of embarrassment, but after a while, he just kind of answered the questions, and it's like he didn't care. And then that's even more scarier, the fact that he
Mm.
didn't care, because of all the stuff that he's done with his work, right? How untruthful was he before? We don't know, right? So like,
Right.
how is the jury again seeing that? Because like, he did answer the questions as he was an expert. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. So, in regards to, yeah, that is very well said. That was very well said. In regards to the going off of what you were talking about, the kind of research and experience here. So, what Shannon is trying to say was he submitted a proposal protocol for additional testing due to his quote education, training, and experience end quote. He was trying to say the data was less than what the data could handle. So he talks about his initial report was incomplete because of the chip size. Talk about the chip from the SUV.
Yeah, it was confusing, but
A
yeah.
lot of technical talk about megabits and megabytes.
Yeah, I mean,
Very different. If you're in the field and you know what that is, it's very different.
I know that's where I was like, it was
And
confusing.
one of the reports, he did the wrong thing. It was supposed to be, for example, megabits, but he did it as megabytes. And then he's, oh, well, it was an error. Okay, well, again, a woman is on trial for her life for a Boston police officer's death, and you mess up what you're testing, and you're on the stand here trying to say, like, so that wasn't good.
Yeah.
So Alessi said that basically this was in regards to data acquisition and misinterpretation. Shannon with one N acknowledged it was, and he said Shannon tried to say that he misinterpreted, not misunderstood the difference between megabits and megabytes. But again, he did it wrong in the report. So Alessi asked how much the Commonwealth has paid Aperture to date, how much for the contract, fees. Shannon says he was not familiar with any of that. And that's relevant because the state is trying to go after ARCA, who was hired by the government to oversee and retest what happened in this case because of just how messed up it was handled by the state police. So, and that's one thing that in between the trials, the state is trying to be like, well, the defense paid ARCA. Well, at the end of the day, ARCA sent a bill to the state. I'm sorry, to the defense. The defense called the state and was like, should we be paying this? And they said, yeah, trial's over. You can pay it. But they were impartial. So Alessi's just trying to give it back to the state. So Alessi says, did you review the CARS report that was submitted by Trooper Paul? No. And then Alessi says, do you even know what a CARS report is? And he says, no. He says, do you know if part of the if he was part of the reconstruction team on this case. Shannon says no. And then Alessi, did you avoid telling anybody that you were reading a reconstruction report on this case? He says no. Did you review the testimony of Nicholas Garino for this case? He says yes. Having reviewed it, you are aware of the theory he proposed for the first proceeding. So then, again, this is another example of Shannon saying, yes, I reviewed the testimony by Nicholas Guerrero, but then says, well, I wasn't aware of this because I really only skimmed it. So it's like, again, Shannon reviewed the location data from John O'Keefe's phone. This is when Hank Brennan tried to object. This was one of the questions that he tried to object to. Karen Reed's, okay, here's another thing too. Karen Reed's Lexus. There's looking at the reconstruction of all this logistics stuff in regards to Karen Reed's Lexus. Aperture had a similar model car that they purchased. It was not the same model. It was a similar model. So right away, we all know how models can change from one year to another with vehicles. Yep. That's a big deal. After that, there was
because they could be made completely different and you have different materials and things. I mean, they need completely different. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. At this point, there was a lot of kind of, I said in my notes, car logistics talk out of my expertise. But if that's something you know about and you want to go back and listen to on the stand, feel free. There was talk about the infotainment system, and it did not respond as expected on Karen Reed's vehicle. So they took the micro SD card itself and attempted to get that info from the car directly. And then there was talk about the Karen Reed's Lexus locking them. Again, out of my expertise, Alessi kind of goes to say, well, there's no scientific literature on what you did with this other model. And so is it really appropriate methodology at all? Shannon with one end tries to go around it, but ultimately he agrees that there really is no scientific literature on this. Hey, Zach, good to see you. So Shannon had done a report for the state on January 30th, 2025. And this was, again, brought up by Alessi because Alessi's pointing out in your initial report, you do not mention the word collision. And the report doesn't even mention what's called a tech stream event, and no timing was mentioned at all. So again, that was the January 30th, 2025 report. Yeah. The May 8th, 2025 report, that's the one where last week or the week before, Hank Brennan was like, oh, we just got this and it changes the time on everything. Yes, we're halfway through a trial, but this changes everything. Well, now in this report, Shannon does use the word collision, and he does talk about specific timing. Again, he's using that now. And on the cover of this, so again, Hank Brennan said he knew nothing about this and said, oh, we just got this report. On the front page, on the cover sheet, because again, this all has to be turned over to the defense, Shannon writes a letter, types a letter to Hank Brennan, dear Hank Brennan, or to Hank Brennan, pursuant your request. Here is the report, da-da-da-da-da. You just said, went on, and he went on and on by trying to be like, no, the prosecutor, no one asked this of me. I just, several months later, on my own accord, wanted to redo the research and look at this.
I don't believe it.
Sheet says to Hank Brennan, pursuant your request. So Alessi's like, well, wait a minute. And points that out. Beckham, you brought this up earlier. This is where Shannon with one end says, well, I copy and pasted from another report I did to make that cover sheet. And so Alessi's like, oh, so do you copy and paste very often? Like, well, it depends. And he's like, but when you copy and paste, do you go back and read it to make sure it's accurate?
Oh my God.
And he kind of had to acknowledge, I didn't, because I didn't think it was necessary.
There you go. There are the words of validity
this
in any where's the validity? That's what I'm saying. He's not an expert to me.
So we can't even be like, you know what? Well, maybe he doesn't have a BA. from a degree that doesn't even exist from them. Maybe he doesn't have his degree.
And you don't need one to be this.
10 years
And I get
of
it.
good experience.
I get. Okay, again, you're right. You bring up a good point, and I think either Brennan or somebody brought up at this point. You don't need a college degree to do his job. I get that's understandable. But what you just said is that he has 10 years of experience. It's been proven that he lies on official a resume. I mean, lying on a resume about having a college degree. College is considered like sort of government. I mean, it's a institution of learning, right? And you're lying about it. So you're plagiarizing your own education to exceed whatever expertise that you're exuding or letting the whatever know that you have. So again, in those 10 years, how much has he lied?
Mm-hmm.
So he has no validity to me. But that's to me, how did the jury take it?
Right. Hopefully they take it the same way as me and you average people would.
Yeah, because I would tell that guy, I'm like, dude, I don't know you. I don't know the work you do. You literally have done something really bad. Again, you don't need the college degree to do your job. I get that. But like the fact that you have lied, been plagiarized, and been untruthful on official government documents, on official business, how much have you done this in other venues within your own work?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that right there gives the feeling and the certainty of your work being on that.
And as we were seeing, Alessi's poking holes in his work, being like, "You did that wrong. You did that wrong."
Right.
Oh,
exactly.
well, it wasn't a
can't.
misunderstanding. It was just a
can't
misinterpretation.
Be like, you can't just say that. You can't have that attitude. You can't.
No, you're the defense. I'm sorry, you're the state witness expert that they're bringing in to prove.
Right.
K-Dog says the prosecution has not had one witness that the defense couldn't legitimately challenge. 100%. K-Dog, 100% agree with you. So I wish we could say that's just all, but no, Alessi, there's still way more that day. And on Tuesday morning, Alessi was still on cross with him. So one of the things that Alessi's kind of saying is, well, do you often in the middle of a trial on your own thoughts go back to a case, redo some type of testing and be like, wait, here you go. And he's like, no, this is the first one I've ever done that. Which again calls into question why. So Dr. Welch. So we hear a lot about Dr. Welch. Heard about Dr. Welch in the first trial. Dr. Welch will be one of the witnesses that we should probably see on the stand for the state next week. So Dr. Welch, who has the credentials and works at ARCA, which if he doesn't have the credentials, Lord knows Alessi's going to find it or find out, but Dr. Welch, who did this testing before, has like a completely different account of the timing. Like his own research does not align with Shannon with one ends. So what Alessi says is, so wait a minute, you performed for analysis this test without knowing what Dr. Welch was going to use. And Shannon says yes. And so you knew what the purpose of your work was going to be for Dr. Welch. And Shannon says yes. What that means is part of what Dr. Welch did was based on Shannon's earlier work, not the most recent one where he's completely changing everything. So now it's like, well, wait a minute. Is Dr. Welch's work even sound going back further? Because he did it on Shannon's work. And Shannon has, as we saw, messed up megabits, megabytes, a few other things, which are big deals. It's a big deal. Another thing that I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Another thing that Alessi got out of him was, and this was on Tuesday, the second day on recross, Shannon examined the wrong day of data. So for those who remember, he analyzed January 29th. Well, if you're thinking, well, wait a minute, Danny, hear me out. January 29th was the night that they all went to CF McCarthy's, the waterfall, so on and so forth. It then went into the early morning hours of January 30th, 2022. So again, the night started out at the bar on January 29th, midnight hits, now it's January 30th, right? Well, no, Shannon does the research and does his report on January 29th. So wrong day. And of course, he just says, "Oh, well, I misinterpreted the wrong day." And it's like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Oh man, yeah. I think I missed this part of it, but this is I'm not surprised by any means.
So again,
it's really bad. I mean, I don't know how it's really bad. There's no other way to put it.
Yep. And unless he keeps trying to drill into him, like your report, your page 1 report says, like, you're saying you did this on your own accord, but your thing says, Mr. Hank Brennan, pursuant to your request. So Hank Brennan knew this was coming. He knew this was coming. It looks really bad now. Like a lot of, so I'll watch and listen to Defense Diaries. Bob and Ali Mata, they have a channel and they stream the court trial live, and then they're both defense attorneys, so they'll kind of give their input as it goes along. And they are, oh my God, they are just on top of it. They are completely on top of it because it's one of those, oh God, they're just like, one, Judge Bev should never have allowed this May 8th report to come into question.
No,
and now it's like, all right, Judge Bev, look, how'd that turn out? Hank Brennan, you thought you won one, but you didn't. So, okay, Shannon with one N. In regards to all of these things, he's still trying to say, well, my May 8th report has no changes, only clarifications. And it's like, no, for example, your earlier report, no mention of collision, but now on May 8th, you mentioned the word collision. And Shannon responds, again, it's not a change, it's a supplement.
It's almost like he went back based on direction to add to it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%.
You see what I'm saying? Okay, yeah. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Hank Brennan the answer Hank Brennan wanted.
Exactly.
And
based
it's
on
now
direction,
costing Shannon his career.
Based on direction. Like, are you sure you don't want to put this here? You know what I mean? Like,
so. All right, so I have like a whole thing about question and answer. I'm not going to get through every single thing because Lord knows back of my notes are crazy. So one of the things that Leslie says was, did you have any communications with police officers Tully or Buchanan? And Shannon says, well, I did reach out to Tully. And Leslie said, well, how many conversations did you have with them? And he goes, a handful, 5 to 10. It's like, okay, well, that's more than a handful. Is Tully an expert in digital forensics? And Shannon says, no, but he provided information. Well, if you're doing this on your own accord, what information do you need from, like, you're supposed to be the independent party, who's reviewing all of this. So what information are you getting from Tully? Like, that doesn't even make sense. And he says, was there any discussions about the May 8th report with anybody from the DA's office? And he says, yes. When did you have that discussion? Oh, on May 7th, when I reached out to Mr. Brennan. Again, this is bullshit because of that letter that Shannon did.
Right.
Let's see.
Now you really went into a lot of details here.
I know. I have like, in regards to, okay. Before we jump into that, I just want to say I have been on the Aperture website every single day.
Every day. What does it say right now?
The day after this whole thing started, Aperture, on the link where you can click to find, like, for any of their employees, their CV. So I'm not sure if you guys can see. Now they have this big thing across the screen that says, not for expert designation. And it's
wow, like, what does that say? What does that mean, Danny, for everybody out there?
But the education on there still says Bachelor's of General Science in Mathematics, Business Administration, University of Alabama, Birmingham, 2022. So not only does it still have that incorrect information, Aperture slaps on not for expert designation.
They've taken that away.
They have since, thank you, Beckham, completely taken that away. So by later in the week, all of their employees, you can no longer click a link and see their CV. Instead, you have to read like the little bio under each person. And
Dude, that had to
Shannon's
made some major somebody had to go in there and completely rearrange everything.
For Shannon's expertise, education, all it
Yeah.
says now is associate's computer networking. So his bachelor's got taken away from the site. But oh God, it's just, company, their stock, from what I heard, Aperture stock went down like
No, are
crazy.
you serious?
Well, all these companies are hiring these quote unquote experts. Look what just happened on the stand.
Yeah, they got decimated. Yep.
You hired people, like, they're lying about their education on the CVs that your company website is saying this person has this degree, this person has this degree. It's all a lie.
Yeah.
And now this expert with 10 years experience there goes on the stand, messes up megabytes and megabits, examines the wrong day, admits, I copy and paste stuff from other reports. Like, and I don't go back and check it because I didn't think it was, I didn't think I needed to. Are you kidding me? If I am a customer and I've hired Aperture and I'm waiting trial for somebody else, I would be freaking out. Because how valid is your work?
Not that percentage is really low as of now. 2 weeks ago, it was I guess 2 weeks ago it was deemed credible. Not anymore.
All right, let's see. I'm gonna skip over. Okay, so one of the things Ann Whiffen is another person who actually testified for the state, and Alessi says, are you familiar with him? Yes. Are you familiar he testified in this trial? No. Did you read his report? Yes. Right away, it's another line of bullshit because the report that Ann Whiffen did was for the trial to testify.
Yeah.
So to be like, well, yeah, I read his report. Did you know he was going to test? No. Okay. So Mr. Whiffen's report, for those who aren't aware, has a lot of information about John O'Keefe's cell phone in the timelines and data. And during the PowerPoint presentation that Shannon used when he first was being questioned by the state as being this expert, in the PowerPoint, it had the timeframes on there that he got from Whiffen's report and Whiffen's report. So it's like, come on, you're going to use his data in his report, but you didn't know he was doing it for the state. Like, it just makes sense.
There's no conjecture or it is not syncing. It doesn't sync well together.
Yeah. Let's see. Alessi says, are you familiar with Jessica Hyde? Jessica Hyde was that one. Remember, she was, may the fourth be with you. That's how I knew it.
Yeah. They said that they should date. Social media says that they should date each other.
Oh my God, that's horrible. So Shannon with one N says he's familiar with the work. Are you familiar? She's working on the case. Yes. Have you read her reports? No. Have you asked for her reports? No.
Have you asked her out? No.
No, I've asked her out. No. But she, again, if she's an expert also in this field who has done testing on this, wouldn't you want have to consulted that or read that report to see her findings? And he says no, which again is just kind of, all right, here we go. So that was Monday. It ended and the world was like, oh my God. So Tuesday, cross-examination still continued. So Alessi was still questioning Shannon. Alessi says that on direct, Hank Brennan never asked, again, just reminding, Hank Brennan never asked about your educational background. Shannon said, no, he did not. And right away, Alessi also went after the testimony that that Shannon had spoken to when Hank Brennan was first questioning him on the stand, specifically that the information, again, that Shannon tested was completely incorrect, again, about that January 29th, January 30th. And Shannon says, I misspoke. I gave the wrong date. Well, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Right. It's one of those like, oh my God. like if you accidentally delete something on a computer, that's a big deal to your company, and you're just like, well, all I did was accidentally hit the delete button. Yeah, but now you're like, it's just you can't downplay big things like this, you know?
No.
Alessi was going through what steps Shannon did not do in his testing, and Alessi says, so you didn't do the necessary steps. And Shannon tries to say, well, no, I didn't, but let me explain. And Alessi was like, no, you can explain on redirect with Mr. Brennan.
Whenever there's an error in something, whether it's documentation or dictation, it's considered errored and invalid.
Invalid.
I'm sorry, invalid. Yeah, sorry. You know
but
what I mean?
When it's really bad, it's also invalid.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So again, Alessi's just so smart. And so, Alessi, after just saying you didn't do the necessary steps, and Shannon says, no, I didn't. Let me explain. No, you can't explain. Then Alessi says to Shannon, do you even know what steps I'm talking about? And Shannon says, no, I don't. Okay, expert.
Yeah, I was like, how are you supposed to like be an expert, right? Like,
K-Dog, this trial has ruined a couple of careers. I bet this prosecutor is not reelected. So it's Hank Brennan. He's the special prosecutor that was brought in for this.
He has a spectrum of, experience, man. He's done a lot.
His career is going to take a hit from this.
He's done a lot, though. I mean, he has done a lot.
He's being paid. The Commonwealth is paying him a lot of money to be the special prosecutor in this case. So, but otherwise, K-Dog, I do see what you're saying. Alessi also says and if you're wondering why I'm focusing so much on this one witness, because it's a really big deal. Like, this is the state's whole, like, see the timing of everything of when she did a 3-point turn and would have hit him, and like it's all leading to that. But now your expert is just like, it can't be your expert can't be trusted. Alessi had said to Shannon that you didn't look into the steps on John O'Keefe's phone and how that relates to time. Shannon says he did not, because again, John O'Keefe's Apple Watch has that he walked, was it 36 or 38 steps when he got dropped off by Karen Reed, so which implies he went in the house. So here, Shannon with one end is saying, okay, I did all this research. Did you even look at his phone to kind of match the data? No.
That's what I'm saying. Nothing ever matches. Right.
Royce, to be valid or to be invalid, that is the question. Well, we know where this report stands on that end. Let's see. All right, I already talked about that. Hank Brennan. Okay, so Hank Brennan on Tuesday was actually trying to object more to the questions that Alessi was trying to get at. Didn't always work, but of course, Judge Bev loves Hank Brennan, so she gave him a lot of leeway.
Right.
This is where there was referencing some other reports that Shannon had done for people with other cases, and again with the inaccurate CV information. It's not a lie, it's just inaccurate. My degree's in process 17 years, even though it says I graduated in 2022. Oh, come on. Yeah, and a lot. So when Hank Brennan, Alessi wraps up his cross-examination. Hank Brennan wants a redirect. He wants to try to salvage this as best he can.
Right. He does. Yeah.
I think he did a horrible job because he kind of addressed the education of like, well, yeah, it takes time. And how long have you been working? Why haven't you finished your degree? And then Shannon says, well, life gets in the way, family, work, and I just don't have the time. You're going to be out of a job soon, Shannon. You're going to have the time to finish that degree.
And that's when he brought in the whole famous people. All, he's like,
yeah. And that's where, as Beckham was saying, it's like, well, Oprah doesn't have a degree. Well, but if Oprah's trying to put forward documentation, she's going to do a little bit of research. It was pitiful. And Hank Brennan just keeps asking a lot of the same questions that he did during his first direct, which is like, that's not the point. It's like you're going to be like, well, let's just redo it again.
Mhm.
It just didn't work. It didn't work. Let's see. Hank was trying to get out of him, like, so you kind of did this on your own, right? And when you noticed an error, that's when you submitted a supplemental protocol report, right? And Shannon's like, yes, did this all on my own. And you just don't believe it by this point. You don't believe it.
I'm hoping. Well, I mean, I'm hoping the jury ceased all this, or because it was really bad.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that's basically the gist of what happened with Shannon. I'm looking through my notes, and again, since a lot of it was
it was a lot. I mean, it was almost a day and a
redirect.
half, right? But he just torn. I mean, Shannon just got ripped, man, and Brennan tried to kind of save it on the direct, but on the redirect, but I mean, I don't know, did it work or not?
Yeah, we all have, the public has our own opinion. What's
the jury thinking?
What's the jury think?
Right, exactly.
So at the end of the day, Tuesday, forensic scientist Christina Hanley from the Mass State Police took the stand. Lally did that interview. She talked about glass being recovered from 34 Fairview.
Can I speak on this?
Yes, please.
So with the glass and the light fixture or whatever, tail light, right? So I saw a lot of reports about, man, I've seen accidents where the tail lights are intact. Mm-hmm. And you're talking about some major, collision, right, and force with another from vehicle to vehicle. It takes a lot for those to get. I mean, it takes a good vehicle to vehicle. And I'm talking about more recent. How old was the vehicle? How old do you know?
Oh gosh, I don't know the year offhand. Sorry.
Was it less than 10 years?
Yeah.
Okay, then a lot's changed the technology in the last 10 years. So with vehicles and stuff like that. So I saw a lot about that, a lot of that being reported about, how vehicle on vehicle, force to force collisions have not caused tail lights to smash in 100 pieces, as if you would have literally taken a baseball bat and then you did that. You literally centered the brunt force to cause that, that damage to the tail light. That was interesting. I would have not. I mean, I've seen accidents on the road, but that was interesting that what people were putting out there that does not match with her hitting O'Keefe.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that was interesting. It was because you were talking about that. How could that tail light been broken in 1,000 pieces? I'm just saying, like however many pieces, 1,100 pieces. When you hit a body, and I'm not talking about another vehicle, like a body that just completely just goes down, and the impact is just not like another. You know what I mean? Like when you a vehicle to vehicle collision is completely different than if you ran over somebody. But it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. And I mean, I saw some people breaking it down. I saw some graphs. It was just like, wow, like some people have really put forth effort in here on this trial to like come up with like things to make sense of it, because again, a lot of these people that are these expert witnesses are not making any sense. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like, how did the tail light bust in 100 pieces? Well, not even if it would have crashed into another vehicle would have caused 100 pieces. So it's just, and you're talking about a human body that doesn't even have the same, chemical buildup of steel or hard plastic. I don't know. It just didn't make any sense. But
yeah, and then there was also talk of like the glass, the cocktail glass that was broken at the scene. But I did look up Karen's vehicle, 2021 Lexus
Oh, it's
LX
brand. I mean, it's a
570
completely.
SUV.
That's completely new. You know, it's different than something than a vehicle from like say 20 years ago or something. You know,
Yeah.
completely different. Completely different.
So Christina Hanley on the stand, I felt so bad because she seemed so uncomfortable. Like, I'm like, I bet she doesn't do this very often. And she kept having to refer to her report, which is fine. Check your documentation rather than just say something on the stand you shouldn't have. But again, she talked about the glass pieces being found at 34 Fairview. Alan Jackson did her cross-examination. Nothing terrible to kind of talk about there, but one of the things that Jackson made a point to say was that one of the pieces of glass found on John O'Keefe was by Trooper Michael Proctor. So of course there's that whole questioning of that.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, one of the witnesses for the defense, for the state, for the Commonwealth, was Dr. Azik Wolf, and he is a brain surgeon from Florida. Went through what he does, his credentials. Did he work this case? No, he didn't. But he was just brought in by the state to talk about what John's, that he would have been limited in what he could do in consideration to the skull and brain after being hit. And then he was trying to reiterate that this injury is separate and apart from what happened. So one of the things too is this whole like, oh, well, being hit with the back of the head, how that affects the skull and the brain. But on cross, and it was a very polite cross. It was, well, could he have been drunk, fallen over, hit the back of his head and had the same kind of thing? Yeah. And then there was a lot of talk back on me. I know me and you messaged about this, but about John O'Keefe and the bruises to the eyes, like the raccoon eyes that John O'Keefe was said to have after this. And one of the things that, again, that Alan Jackson kind of got out of this doctor, out of Cross, was that something else could have happened that would have caused those bruises to the eyes. Because typically those types of bruises to the eyes are more common after like, was it 24 hours or so? It didn't add up to, again, being hit by a vehicle, those types of bruises. So good night, Royce. Good to see you. Have a good
night, man. Good night,
weekend. And again, where Beckham said, like, wait a minute, some of this stuff is confusing. You're right.
Well, a lot of you haven't really. I mean, I know you try to touch upon some of the data and stuff. That's really confusing, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of the cell phone data stuff. I mean, they got a little bit deep into that, but it can be very confusing. If it,
Yeah.
I wanted to touch up on something really quick.
Oh yes, please go ahead.
The DNA that was found on him. Wasn't there other male DNA found on O'Keefe?
Mm-hmm. 3 to 5 other people, and they the state didn't test it.
Exactly.
They didn't feel it was necessary.
Say that again. Say it, but say it like in a formal matter.
There was 3 to 5 on John O'Keefe's clothing, depending on what article of clothing. 3 to 5 other DNA profiles on him for other people. The state did not test any of that to see who it might have been.
And were they males?
Male DNA.
Exactly.
So don't you think that night?
Don't you think that was important? I think that was, they failed to test the most important part of the case to me. Forget the taillights, man. Like, I mean, you had DNA. You didn't test it.
That is like
that stops right there. That's what I would have said to the jury. That's the most important evidence right there. Boom. And the state
crime scene
and the state. I'm not talking about local PD, because we know how a lot of local PDs are not, sometimes are not used to experiencing with some difficult homicides.
This was mass state troopers.
This was a state trooper, but you're supposed to be on another level.
What? See, like, if I was
Alan Jackson, Danny, I couldn't believe when I heard that. when was that? When's Thursday or when? I just learned that myself, and I was
Mm.
like, wait, what? They had DNA of other males on. He had other male DNA on him. What was he getting kissed in the neck by
It's
another dude?
2025. Let him do his thing.
Okay, well, at least okay. If that's the sin, at least you would have interrogated that person or asked
Hmm.
questions, right?
Very good point. What I would love to like have Alan Jackson be like, tell me
I
what other
hope
homicides you have
I
or
hope
deaths you have worked.
they bring that around again,
And
dude.
there's DNA of other people on the
On
body.
a body,
And
on
you
the
just say,
body,
you know,
yes.
we're not going to test who it is.
Yeah, it's not a yeah, we're not yeah. What? What are you think? What? That's what I'm saying. This case is crazy.
Capone is adding bukkake.
Like, no, it was Proctor. But Bukaki, that's his boss.
Mm-hmm.
He was a supervisor. Like, I don't. This is. I'm sorry. I just learned that on whatever day, Wednesday or Thursday. Today's Friday. I think I learned that Wednesday, late Wednesday, and I was blown away. First of all, I was blown away about all the plagiarism and all that Monday through Wednesday, and then I learned about the DNA on some show. I was like, wait, what? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that was the DNA. That was more last week. So I talked about that on last week's show, but you weren't here last week.
Right.
So
Yeah, but I just kind of reheard it like
yeah.
Wednesday. And I was like, "Whoa, dude, that right there. If I'm on the jury, I was like, "No, you guys are hiding. Y'all hid something. How do you not test that?" And if you would have tested it and it would give you profiles of people, the next step you go and question them, right? Well, that's it. That's the next thing. You're not
Mhm.
necessarily making them suspects, but you're at least questioning them about a more direct questions, right? Your questions are a
Yeah.
little bit different. Your questions will be a little bit different, more direct than just the oh, you happen to be here. Did you see anything? Oh, you didn't. Oh, okay, never mind. No,
Mhm.
the questions would have been different, right?
100%. 100%.
Oh my
It's
god, dude.
just like one of the things that I've been seeing in a lot of different chats for other content creators that cover the
Yeah,
show is like couldn't the judge just dismiss this case and be like, as the one, Judge Bev loves the state and the prosecutor, so that ain't gonna happen. But also, in what, like, how is this is not normal, y'all. This case is not normal. So if it's one of those like, oh well, Boston is corrupt and we're not used to this. Like, this is in everybody's face. This is nationwide. People are talking about this. In other countries, people have heard of Karen Reed in this trial. And it blows my mind that, again, putting everything that we just talked about out there, the own special prosecutor, Hank Brennan, we're halfway through trial. In the opening statements, acknowledge the specific time to the minute and to the second that John O'Keefe was hit. And now halfway through is, wait a minute, different time, we got it wrong.
you can't. Yeah, you can't do that.
Are you kidding me?
You can't do that. No.
Are you kidding me? Like, what? It's mind blowing. Mind blowing.
Before you move on, before I just want let me know when you're moving on because I want to
We're
end it
about
with
to move
something.
on, so go ahead.
All right. So I just wanted to end this part of the show with Higgins is no longer an ATF agent. Proctor,
Really?
yeah, I don't think he is. Proctor is no longer employed as a state investigator. And Shannon with an N is no longer employed.
He is.
Oh, he might not be. I'm saying he's gonna probably not get. I mean, I'll
Oh
be
yeah, no,
surprised.
he'll get canned.
I'm saying he's. So what does that tell you?
Brian Higgins was let go.
I don't think I don't think he's an ATF agent anymore. I heard he's trying to become a fireman.
Okay, all right. Brian Higgins has been interviewing for a position with Cambridge Mass Fire Department.
Yeah, he's no longer an ATF agent.
I don't see anything where it says like former.
Well, because they're not gonna. He's not. It's not gonna be out there. He's not gonna put it out there because he's not.
Okay, I don't. We know it's public knowledge that Trooper Proctor was let go.
Yeah.
Higgins, I do see that it looks like he's trying to get a job with Cambridge Mass Fire Department.
Yep. He might have got his pension. He might have just left. He might have worked 20 years. I think he was like early 50s, so he might have been in 20.
Yes, I can't offhand find something. I just don't want to put out misinformation. Well, I think especially after this trial that, if he's using his saying, I went to the police station to do X, Y, and Z, but you're on camera doing something else, who knows?
Yeah, and then he got rid of a phone on a military base. Come on. I mean,
okay, no, he should lose his job if he has not already.
Right. Yeah, he probably took retirement and it's gone. He retired.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, that's why I keep checking the Aperture site, because I'm just like, everybody's like, that guy, Shannon's going to be out of a job.
Yeah, you want him to get canned.
So we'll keep you guys posted on this, because, oh God, it was wild this week. So in regards to a case that is similar, so Brian Walsh, we've talked about him a bit here. He's the man who was charged with killing and dismembering his wife, Anna, in Cohasset. So in regards to why he has not gone to trial yet, but he and his defense team want to bar evidence of Google searches that he made, saying that the investigators did not use a search warrant to obtain that. And y'all, we've talked about the Google searches. I have read them. Look them up if you aren't familiar with it. It's like, come on. And you did these searches on your 6-year-old kid's iPad. So investigators again found the searches on his son's iPad, but his lawyers argue that they obtained this evidence improperly and without his consent. His lawyers are arguing that he did not consent to allow police access to internet searches on the devices. Early on, Anna was just being considered a missing person, and at that time, he let law enforcement review his family's electronic devices for messages. So his attorneys are saying more specifically that the Google searches and any subsequent searches, including some of the warrants, were, quote, fruits of the illegal and unauthorized searches, end quote. So prosecutors countered on Monday that Anna Walsh was a missing person at the time and her husband turned over the devices voluntarily. Therefore, the evidence was obtained properly. So just an example of some of those searches that he made about between January 1st and January 3rd, 2023. How long before body starts to smell? How long for someone to be missing to obtain an inheritance? Can you be charged with murder without a body? Can identification be made?
No, you cannot.
Remains? How to clean blood from wooden floor?
You need a body, Danny. You need a body for a conviction.
He should have just thrown out the damn iPad. So the thing is, the defense is trying to question the validity of the I can't even talk anymore tonight. Subsequent search warrants investigators used to obtain the evidence against Brian Walsh. For the record, we all here think Brian Walsh is guilty. But let's step back. Who was the trooper assigned to work this case?
Don't say it.
Trooper Michael Proctor. So it just calls into question everything now.
I don't know what. Hey, I'm sorry. When it comes to your state law enforcement investigations, prosecutions, I can't believe there's no. I really don't know what y'all do. I don't know. I don't know who's guilty, who's not guilty. I don't know anything.
I'm sure there are a good number of honest, good police officers here. It's just the ones that are covered just ruin it for everybody. Yeah, Tony agrees with you.
Right, Tony?
Ultimately, to wrap this up, the judge will review and make a ruling on whether to exclude those searches. Those searches are a huge part to this case. So if they don't get allowed in, that's a big deal. But we'll see. So lastly for tonight, the Tootsie Roll, known as Puff Daddy.
Why is he called a Tootsie Roll?
Did you miss this?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not okay. First of all, not in a racial tone.
No.
Okay,
Oh,
because
Beckham, you are so
I'm just saying, I'm like,
behind.
why is he called a Tootsie Roll?
I've been making Tootsie Roll jokes for like a week, and Beckham has no idea.
I don't know what you're
Okay.
talking. I thought it was kind of like because like somebody called Chad God what's
Chad Daybell the Storm.
no, it was a football player.
Ocho Cinco?
Yeah, Ocho Cinco. Yeah, yeah. Somebody he got into some beef like last year with another guy, another comedian, a black comedian. He's like, man, shut up. You look like a damn what's it called?
I don't know, but don't say it because I'm afraid.
He's like, you look like a milk dud up there on camera.
Ugh.
That's why I was like,
No, this is
oh,
not a
I was like,
racial thing.
I was like, what are you talking about? Why are you calling him a Tootsie Roll? It's like like
So
a,
one of the women that
oh,
took the stand last week she mentioned that so she was saying how she was raped by Sean Combs, Puff Daddy.
just call him a milk dud.
I know, no, Beckham, for Christ's sakes, not
No,
cool.
they had beef with each other. He's like, well, at least I don't look like a milk dud on camera. It was kind of because he shaves his head. It was funny.
Whoppers? Oh my God.
Oh,
Oh,
I
Whoppers are
love
so
Whoppers,
gross.
dude. Whoppers are so good.
They come in like when you buy Halloween candy. We're gonna get back to Puff Daddy in a second. When you buy like the bags for Halloween candy, Whoppers are always just thrown in there, and it's like so gross. I once had a kid a couple years
Hey, did
ago
you used to
show up.
stalk Tom Brady?
No, I don't like football.
Oh, okay.
A kid several years ago when for trick or treating came and was just like, "Oh, trick or treat," and there was Whoppers in there. But I
Chad
tried to get the
Johnson.
good stuff. He's like,
Yeah.
"I love Whoppers." I was like, "Hold that thought." I dug through every single Whopper pack we had and just gave it all to the kid.
Oh
Like,
my
who likes
God. I would
this?
have been like, if I was that kid, I was like, I won a lottery or something that night.
Oh my God! I hooked that kid up with every Whopper that was
That was,
in that.
if he likes Whoppers, then you did him a huge favor.
Hmm. I'm like, who actually likes Whoppers?
That's why I was like, wait, what? Why are you calling him the
Okay,
milk dud? Or wait, what did you call
Tootsie
him?
Roll. So a female had testified last week that she was raped by Sean Puffy Combs, and
Almost
but
call him
made the
Sean
comment
Jones.
about penetration and his size, comparing him to a Tootsie Roll.
No.
Yes, I kid you not. I kid you. So people like, Nancy Grace has been running wild with it. What was it earlier on this week on her show? She was like in the middle of
Isn't there a
talking and she
song
had a
called
Tootsie
Tootsie
Roll and
Roll?
she started unwrapping it.
No, she didn't. No, she
She
didn't.
so did. I saw the clip.
Did you
And then
read?
she throws the Tootsie Roll and you can hear it land on the floor. It was quite funny. I know most people don't like Nancy Grace. It was quite funny. But yes, so Puff Daddy is not happy allegedly about the whole Tootsie Roll being compared to a Tootsie Roll.
Oh, wow.
But in regards to more important things about what happened with the trial this week, so Cassie Ventura's mom testified. The defense did not cross-examine her, which I think was a smart move because you're really going to go after a victim's mother. So basically, when Cassie's mom took the stand, she said that Diddy had emailed her trying to basically extort $20,000, quote, for expenses, end quote. Basically, Cassie's doing X, Y, and Z. She's not being in line with this. So give us 20 grand. So again, Cassie's family did not have a lot of money at this time. So they had to take out the money from their home and pay Sean Combs. He then returned the money without, like a month later, returned the money. Don't know why. But that is...
Why didn't you start the show off with a Tootsie Roll? And then throw it away. That'd have been funny.
You know what? I just start the show without you every time, and it's great. And then you join, and then it all goes to hell.
Wait, why didn't you start the show out with a Tootsie Roll? We're like, look, hey guys, welcome back.
James. Oh gosh. So Cassie's mom also talked about an email that Cassie had sent her saying a lot of the things years ago that Puff Daddy had been doing and it did to her. So her mom basically testified that. It was pretty straightforward. So The Punisher testified in The Punisher this week. So he is a freak off escort.
Like,
He
oh,
talked-
I thought you were gonna talk about the comic book character.
Nope. I have heard of the Punisher, though. I will say that. So he talked about Puff Daddy's kind of travel bag. I think it was a Louis Vuitton bag. And in that bag, there were a lot of pills, orange pills that had the Tesla logo on it, pills that what was being called now is Obama pills, and a ton of
Whoa, wait a minute. Why are you referencing the ex-president of the United States?
Because they were Obama-shaped ecstasy pills.
What do you mean Obama shaped?
The ecstasy pills were in the
like
shape of Barack Obama's face.
Were they the same color?
Beckham, don't go there. I don't know. But it just goes to show, again, all of these drugs. This is serious. We're talking Tootsie Rolls here. This is a very serious thing.
You started off with a Tootsie Roll joke. Come on, dude.
And you had no idea.
I didn't know what the hell you're talking about. I was like, why are you talking about candy? Are you like Chad Johnsoning 2.0 here?
Oh gosh. No. But the going around with a bag of Plan B is very interesting. So next, is this the last one I have for my notes? No, a couple more. David James. He was the former personal assistant to Puff Daddy from 2007 to 2009. He spent 2 days on the witness stand talking about Suge Knight. Talked about, it all started at 4 a.m. in the parking lot of a Mel's Drive-In in Los Angeles. So to sum it up, Puff Daddy's trusted security guard, Damian D. Rock Butler, noticed that Suge Knight, co-founder and rival of Death Row Records, was sitting in an
Death Row.
Death Row. Did I say it wrong?
You gotta say it with Death Row.
Death Row.
Like, come on, dude.
Records. So yeah. Suge Knight was parked in an Escalade a few spots away. David James testified he was at the wheel of Sean Combs' silver Lincoln Navigator when Suge Knight and D-Rock faced off. What are you doing in my city? James remembers hearing Suge Knight ask Diddy's security guard. And then D-Rock introduced himself as D-Rock Biggie's boy, a reference to Notorious B.I.G.
Didn't he have him killed?
Well, that's part of the kind of word on the street
versus West Coast. Come on, Danny. I did a whole 5-hour show on this.
You sure did. It's time I can't get back in my life. So within moments, James in the bodyguard saw someone pass a gun to Suge Knight. James testified that he was ordered by D-Rock to go back to Combs' Hollywood Hills estate. Once back there, Cassie Ventura protested in tears, and Diddy grabbed 3 guns to go back another 10-minute drive with D-Rock to Mel's. And Suge Knight was nowhere to be found at that point. And that was when David, the former assistant, said, quote, "It was the first time I realized my life was in danger," end quote. And he told the jurors that he sent his resignation letter soon after that. We also heard from Dawn Richard, Danity Kane singer. She testified that in 2009, Diddy brutally beat Cassie Ventura after she took too long to cook him dinner. Sean Richard recounted Sean Combs shouting at Cassie saying, quote, "Where's my fucking egg," end quote, in 2009. He stormed into the kitchen. Quote, "He took the skillet with the eggs in it and tried to hit her in the head and she fell to the ground," end quote. End quote. Cassie cowered on the floor in the fetal position and Sean Combs punched her and kicked her. Then he dragged her upstairs by her hair and heard the sound of screaming and broken glass from the 3rd floor. The next day, Sean, and this was interesting. The next day, Sean Combs called Cassie Ventura and Dawn Richard into the mansion's 1st floor recording studio, saying, quote, he said that what we saw was passion. It's what lovers in a relationship do, end quote. Sean Combs told the 2 women that, quote, "He was trying to take us to the top and that where he comes from, people go missing if they say things like that, like if people talk. And then he gave us flowers," end quote. On cross-exam, Dawn Richard agreed she only recalled the alleged death threat in speaking to prosecutors earlier this month, because basically she kind of put it out of her memory until she's been doing these interviews with prosecutors. Quick pause. Anything to add to that, Beckham?
What was the Punisher doing?
He was the personal assistant that was there with the whole Suge Knight.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Suge Knight incident. But again, nothing came of that particular incident, but the bodyguard, the Punisher, realized that, wait a minute,
so
my life's being put in danger here, and he resigned.
Okay, so what about the text messages from Cassie saying she was all into everything?
We talked about that last week.
Oh, that was last week. Okay, so yeah, I don't.
Yeah, that was.
No, I mean, there's just nothing right now. I mean, there's nothing shocking right now. I mean, everything is kind of going according to what we've already heard and seen, right? Except the Tootsie Roll thing.
Oh wait, sorry. I misspoke. The Punisher. He was the freak off expert. Sorry, I was confusing it with David James. Okay, so the Punisher. So he just basically testified that he would be as a freak off expert about Puff Daddy and all the drugs that he had. I mean, basically, to sum it up, that was what he talked about.
Okay, so he basically was there to confirm that these were happening and the drugs were happening, and then on top of that, the drugs were shaped in Obama's
the
head
ecstasy
shape.
pills were.
Wow, that's crazy. Why would you do that?
I don't have that answer. I'm just reporting what happened this week. But yeah, so okay, just to quickly, so yeah, last week when Cassie was on cross-examination, they were trying to show text messages where it looks like she was like into the freak offs, but at the same time, there, like, if you read the full messages, it was just like, it really just sounded like somebody who was like looking for like attention from him, like love, affection, attention, because it's like, oh, I can't wait for that with you, but I feel like you don't take me serious, like whatever it was. I'm blanking on what the exact text message was at this point, but just looking for, and again, that it depends on what you believe. Some people will be like, well, that's clearly a victim still, clearly looking for approval and affection and attention from her boyfriend. And then other people are going to be like, nope, willing participant.
Exactly.
So
willing.
But no one can, I say no one can twist that video, but the defense is sure trying, where he beats Cassie in that hotel hallway, and they're trying to be like, oh, that was consensual. She just got mad about a girl texting his phone. No. But anyway, yeah, that was last week. A few other people testified this week in the Sean Combs case. Cassie Ventura's ex-best friend, Carrie Morgan. Carrie took the stand to tell jurors she witnessed 2 attacks on Cassie, one while on vacation in Jamaica in 2013. Carrie said that Cassie at one point went to the bathroom at the residence they were staying, and Combs said, quote, she's taking too long, end quote. Carrie went on to say, quote, a few minutes later, I heard her screaming, like guttural, terrifying. He was dragging her by her hair on the floor, end quote. We're seeing a bit of a pattern here.
Oh yeah, very abusive for sure.
But specifically, like the dragging of the hair, like dragging her by her hair and stuff. Like she's a small girl. So Carrie told jurors that she saw Sean Combs push Cassie to the ground, causing her to hit her head on the paving bricks. Carrie said, quote, she didn't move. She fell on her side. I thought she was knocked out, end quote. So that's kind of the gist of Carrie Morgan's testimony. Kid Cudi, that was a big thing because everybody was like, Kid Cudi, he's arriving on Thursday. That was kind of interesting because he talked about Puff Daddy breaking into his house. But Kid Cudi wasn't there at the time. One of his people who worked for him was like, hey, Puff Daddy, called from the car really upset saying Puff Daddy is in the house. He broke in and he's in the house. And he just said that he just wanted to talk to Kid Cudi. So Kid Cudi left where he was, came back home, and Sean Puff Daddy was gone. Nothing was disturbed or broken except Christmas presents were unwrapped and the dog was locked in the bathroom.
It's all about leaving a presence and it kind of putting that little questional, the question, or putting that fear factor, leaving that fear.
100%.
Oh yeah, intimidation. I'm sorry. There you go, an intimidation factor. Yep.
And then Puff Daddy for like a month was like blowing up his phone, like, let's talk. And so Kid Cudi was like, no, I ignored him.
Right.
Kid Cudi talked about his car exploding. It was the Molotov cocktail. He wasn't there. Thankfully, a staff member was there and called Kid Cudi to be like, your car is on fire in the driveway. The thing is, for a month, Puff Daddy was saying to other people, I'm going to blow up his car. And then his car got blown up. I think we can all kind of say, was Puff Daddy the one that physically went there and did that? No, he has other people do his dirty work for him. I think that we can all agree on that. So that's one of the things that the defense is like, well, he didn't do it. It's like, but when you have your people do it, you're just as guilty.
Yep. The enforcers.
James Watson, after the freak offs cleanup crews would come in and clean up Leuven. Yes. Yep. We talked about that last week.
Did that come out last week? That's nasty.
Little bit. We're going to touch on that a little bit today with the next witness. So, all right. The last note for tonight for witness in the Puff Daddy case. Great t-shirt. Oh, thanks. Mortal Musings podcast. Check them out. But thanks, Zach.
What did you say about the trial?
Yeah, one more thing. So George Kaplan testified. He was a former assistant who worked as an executive assistant to Sean Combs. He testified on Wednesday that, kind of going by what James was just saying, that he would be tasked with setting up hotel rooms for Bad Boy Records founders, P. Diddy, across the country. Prosecutors asked if he cleaned up the rooms after for Sean Combs, and he said, quote, yes, bottles of baby oil, Gatorade, and then added once brown crystallized powder on the counter of the bathroom sink, end quote. He was asked why he would clean the rooms instead of just having hotel staff do it, and Kaplan said he did it because he needed to protect his boss's public image. Quote, it was implied, protect his public image. I was keen on doing that, end quote. So lastly, Kaplan said that he also kept a kit for Puff Daddy stocked with Advil and ketamine. What?
Wow.
Advil and ketamine, because yeah, that's two things I keep stocked. Like, are you kidding me? Again, there's just, yes, we might, one person after another after
Why
another.
the ketamine though? Why the ketamine?
He was drugging. That was part of Cassie. That was one of the things Cassie talked about, was that Sean would supply his ketamine.
Wow.
There's so many.
Oh, because it keeps you up. Hello. It
disassociates you from everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So there is all of this. There's consistencies here with every person that's testifying. And this wasn't like all these people were connected necessarily. Some were, but when different people who aren't connected have the same similar story,
yeah,
it's questionable. So we will see what happens next week with the trial. But yeah, it's a lot of information this week about, again, the drugs, more about in relation to the freak offs, Cassie, the Kid Cudi thing. I know a lot of people were kind of waiting for his testimony.
Drugs, violence, freak offs, ex-presidents, candy,
Tootsie Rolls. Yeah, it's what a week. Shannon with one N. Oh, man. Is ketamine an animal tranquilizer? I believe so.
Yeah, I think they add. Well, I think they.
But people, it's used. It can be used therapeutically.
But it's used for a lot of. I mean, they put that in ecstasy or something.
You can lace anything with anything nowadays.
Yeah, I don't. I think that's what they were doing. Yeah,
just to give you guys the overall.
Or I'm sorry, not ecstasy. Acid.
So, because I'm not an expert on ketamine. All right, ketamine is a medication primarily used for anesthesia, but it's also increasingly being explored for its potential in treating mental health conditions, particularly treatment-resistant depression.
Yeah,
that
now
was one of the things,
Elon Musk uses it like
Matthew Perry. That's how he died. Friends actor Matthew Perry.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the, in a nutshell, information about ketamine. Yeah, Danny, when are you going to start the Karen Reed talk? Right now, we're over 2 hours in. We're going to start it right now, Tony.
We're just going to go right over it.
Yeah. All you have to know is if you're going to lie on your resume and CV for a job, if you want to take that risk, knowing that one day you could be called to court and that's just going to be exposed to you and a lot of other people.
Hey, real quick, did you hear about Kohberger?
Yeah, but
dude, they're gonna throw out the case and he's gonna walk.
No, he's not.
Hey, man.
No, he's
be
not.
Ready. Be ready.
What Beckham is referring to is there was information that was leaked about the case and about him. So now his defense lawyers are trying to basically get the whole thing just thrown out.
Be ready.
I don't think that will happen.
Be ready. Oh, I cannot wait for you to say that can be right. Again, for the 5th time in history that I've known you. It'll be the 5th time.
Yeah, it's very infrequent where I have to say I was wrong and Beckham was right. And let's keep that. Let's keep that infrequency down because, yeah, it's not a good feeling.
It's the best feeling, dude.
To you it is. To me,
oh man, it's like the best feeling.
You know what I would rather watch is 10 hours of Shannon with one end on the stand being grilled by Alessi than have to give you one 5-second apology. To put it into perspective.
That is so funny.
All right. So that wraps up this week's True Crime and Chill. You missed it earlier. I'm not available next Friday because I have dance.
What?
So I will have to do the show.
You know what? We might as well just take a summer vacation, take a month off, be back July.
Who do you think we are? The Paulcast? No.
That was a good comeback. That was a good one.
I'm here all night, folks. Remember, again, next Thursday is book club. So that is Thursday.
Wait, that's going to be Thursday? I'm like halfway through the book.
I have like 10 pages left.
Damn, dude. What the hell?
Who else
is reading? Anybody in the chat reading this book?
Zach posted a picture on Instagram. He has it.
For Corey for hooking me up with the book.
Corey Novak, solid dude. Yeah, anybody can partake.
Just come on. You don't have to be on camera. You can just if you have a mic, I guess. But
Yeah, and if you've read it and want to give input, absolutely. The more, the merrier. And yeah, Beckham, this will be the first time you've been on camera for book club, so you better not miss it. You're the one that recommended this book.
Hey, I'm on it, but
all right.
It was actually I already said it's something that I thought about like 20 years ago, right when this guy actually. I'm not gonna say much, but right when this guy started looking into it, that's when I just was like, man. It would be like the best thing for a serial killer to be would be a trucker because you're just always on the move, and you're never at the same spot. So.
If I'm questioning now if that was what you did in a former life 20 years ago, and now this clip is going to come back and haunt me, and I'll be called to court.
Hey, you just got to watch me back up a semi.
Update your resume with that.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Your resume with that.
Hey, I have a fake CDL license.
And that you got it from a school that doesn't exist.
Yeah, online. Yeah, I got it from an online driving academy.
Oh God. Okay. I encourage everybody, Google Karen retrial, go back to day 18, fast forward up to the point where David Alessi does cross. So why do I keep saying David Alessi? I keep combining David Giannetti and Robert Alessi. When Robert Alessi crosses Shannon Burgess, Shannon with one end, and just listen to the rest of the day. I am telling you, it is the moment
No
where
holds
it's like,
barred.
oh,
No
this
holds
degree doesn't even
barred.
exist at this school.
I know, that was the funniest part of it.
Oh, right when you think it couldn't get worse,
Dude, it was
just
crazy.
kept getting
It
worse.
was crazy. This week was nuts. It was insane. It really
It-
was.
Had that been, let's say
Wait,
that
and you're gonna be, and they're off Monday. Hold on, they are off Monday because of the holiday, right? Respectfully.
yeah, they're back Tuesday.
And then Tuesday, and that's when you're gonna be there.
I
Dude, you
didn't
better be.
advertise the exact date I was going to be there. I said next week, but thank you, Beckham.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I was going to go stand
No,
up.
you said I heard you say it.
I said next week.
Oh, well, okay. Why would you be there on a Friday when you know Bab's gonna go early?
See, that was part of my rationale for picking Tuesday because I'm like, all right, I didn't know there wasn't going to be court Thursday, Friday, but I knew Monday was a holiday. So I'm like, there's no way she'll give a long weekend and give Tuesday off.
No, you have
so that
to
was my rationale.
Business as usual. It has to. Something has to happen on Tuesday. She could take Wednesday through Friday off and just say it's a short week, but something has to happen on Tuesday. You've been too long of a break. She took Thursday, Friday. She took a 5-day. She had a 5-day weekend.
Thursday, Friday, Monday.
Yeah. So you're right. Tuesday is the best. That's where I was thinking with it too. I was like, you have to go Tuesday because with her, I'm learning with her. She gets off early, and she takes days consecutive. She just says, "Oh, jury, we're gonna take a 2-hour lunch now because we're ahead." And like, what the hell, dude?
If I was the jury, I'd be like, let's bump it up.
Let's just get through this, right? Like, let's just finish this thing. I want to get on with my life.
Well, if there's a mistrial again, we
no, stop it. There just needs to be a freaking decision done already, man. Oh my God.
Not guilty. You know what's funny? Yeah, quickly before we head out. So I had to meet up with the Liz this week. I stuff in my car that I had to pass off to her. Nothing sketchy before anybody's like, what's going on? And Liz is convinced that Karen Reed hit John O'Keefe. I disagree with her, but that's okay.
How? But okay. I already told the Liz to come on here and give her opinion about it. And she's entitled to it, of course. But how did you get to this opinion? What, out of all the shenanigans that have happened in this case, again, you have a state trooper that is no longer a state trooper or a state investigator. Mm-hmm. You have a ATF agent who is no longer an ATF agent, and now a soon to be forensics data guy to be collecting unemployment in like the next 2 weeks. Like, think about it. Think about what those little So, Bukaki, and those people were supposed to be some of their biggest
witnesses.
Yeah. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Point being, so I was giving her the stuff for her car, and at like when she was about to head out, I was just like, "Free Karen Reed." She gave me like the dirtiest look.
Oh my God, that's funny.
On that note, all right, everybody. Thank you, Beckham, for joining for another True Crime and Chill.
As always.
And we will be live next Thursday for the book club. So you will see.
I hope people appreciate my expertise when I come on here.
Yeah, you're probably going to oversleep and miss it. Danny, why didn't you wake me up?
You need to tell me on Tuesday that it's Thursday. Wait, you're going to be too busy on Tuesday.
I'm not your keeper.
You need to let me know on Wednesday. Hey, we remember Thursday's the show.
Yeah. Listen, bro.
This Thursday is the show, not Friday.
Not Friday. I'll pick a different day for the true crime and chill. Yeah. Well, you won't go without. You won't go without. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your night. Have a good long holiday weekend if you are in the States. And everybody, remember, until next time, we don't live in darkness. Darkness lives in us. Bye, everyone.